Hey Graham, thanks for joining me today. Really great to see you again, as always. We've just come back from the US, Cisco Global Partner Summit, where Data3 has won 2 global awards. Do you want to tell us what those awards mean to you and how did you do it?
Thanks for the invite to be here, Luke. I guess it's great to be. The last couple of weeks have been a real whirlwind for us. That picking up both the Services and Software Partner of the Year, Global Partner of the Year, as well as the Global Collaboration Partner of the Year. I guess it means a lot to us. We've been on a journey with Cisco for, I'm going to say it's about 30 years. I don't even recall the number anymore. The two teams work so hand in glove together that we operate as one single entity. But to pick up 2 global awards at the same time is really testament to how well aligned we are as 2 organizations, both culturally and from a go-to-market perspective. And there's something really sweet and really natural about receiving the services and software at the same time as receiving the Collaboration Partner of the Year. And for us, it's because we actually started our lifecycle journey with Cisco Collaboration in the early Flex days. So from the days of sort of Cisco One that rolled into Flex, those early days inspired us to build a customer success motion that evolved into a full lifecycle practice. So it's great to be here. It's great to be talking about it, but it really is we are partway through a very long journey.
Yep. I think we've known each other for like 10 years and you're an integral part of the Cisco Data3 relationship partnership. When Cisco first came to you and said, we're thinking about investing in lifecycle practices, what was your initial reaction?
I'd say cautiously optimistic. It really depends upon what Cisco means by a practice. Yep. And I think we knew the intent was right. We also knew that a change to the way that we took the joint Data3 Cisco value proposition to market was a good thing. Because what we saw customers who were investing in incredible technology, but not always getting the value out of that. We would do the whole 3-year or 5-year renewal cycle, sell something, walk away for 3 years and come back. But we knew that was intrinsically wrong. And as Cisco moved towards being a software partner of ours, we knew that we had to build a motion that helped customers unlock the value of the software to ensure that they both validated and justified their investment, but would also stay with us long-term from a renewal perspective. And that creates trust and longevity, both between Data3 and the customer, but also between Data3 and Cisco, because we're there for the long haul.
And I think it's so important the way that you've been going about and doing your lifecycle practices with us. Putting Cisco and Data3 aside as an industry, I think that's the way that we have to go to market for our customers. So, what is it about the way that you've gone about approaching your customers that makes it so important? And how are you receiving that type of feedback from the customers that have received your service?
So the customer perspective is actually quite interesting. With our corporate purpose has been to enable our customer success. So customer success has actually been at the core of our business for quite an extended period. And from that idea, we've built out a series of capabilities that provide connective tissue through Data3. So when we talk about a customer's value proposition, every customer defines customer success differently. And they don't even use that language, but every customer wants value from the investments they make in their technology. And that value is different based upon the technology and based upon the customer's own capabilities. Some are great at installing software but don't have the support capabilities. Some don't know how to design and implement, but they actually have got a fantastic operational support team. So not every customer needs everything across a lifecycle engagement. But what's been critical to us in really building a customer value proposition is that we can help the customer go through their life cycle. It's not about us, it's not about Cisco, it's not about the product. It's the fact that every customer goes through a learning process, a deployment process, an adoption, and then an operational support and optimization process. It doesn't matter whether they want to or not, or whether they're actually talking about it, or whether it's in their own language. There is a natural cycle that every technology investment goes through. Our focus has been to build services capabilities across each stage of that lifecycle process so that we can step in and out as the customer needs us to, in order to ensure that there's a natural motion and momentum from one phase leading into the next phase, because every time we move a customer forward through that cycle, it generates value for them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've really learned from you in speaking to you over the years. Each customer is at a different part of their journey. So you've got to meet the customer where they are. Again, I know you've had a lot of experience in doing this. If you had to do this all over again, would you change anything? How would you go about it?
That's an interesting question, because I think did we do things the way that we should have back then? And the answer is I wouldn't change anything that I did, but that was 10 years ago. I think the investments that we made early, which was to try new things constantly, fail, pivot, constantly until we found something that succeeded, and then go hard on that to refine it over and over and over again, is what we would do again. And in some ways, we were limited by what we could do because we couldn't run adoption motions on a large suite of technologies. Cisco was still moving into software. It was early days. Cisco's real cloud motion and SaaS motions was still evolving. So there was only a limited number of adoption services that we could provide because there was only a limited number of real products that we could very clearly define for. Yeah. Now it's different. Now there's a large suite of technology portfolios and SaaS products that Cisco's bringing to market, as well as more mature on-prem products, all of which create opportunities for adoption activities and lifecycle conversations. The risk, if I was to start right now, my risk would be to go too broad, too fast. And I think what I would do now is probably what I would choose to do now is what I was forced to do back then, which would get deep expertise into one area and then slowly expand across into different portfolios, as opposed to try to be everything to everyone in a life cycle motion and think that all life cycles are the same, because they're not. You need to look at it on a technology portfolio by portfolio basis.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit earlier in a meeting about developing a plan and how important that is. And I think you're right, just making sure that you've got that level of execution and focus. The partnership between Data3 and Cisco, how do you think this has changed that relationship? I can't imagine you not going through this and having the relationship that we have today.
I think we've had to evolve as an organization. You've evolved as an organization. The relationship, I think fundamentally the relationship hasn't changed. And both of our product capabilities and our technical capabilities with your products have evolved. Partnership that we have is not a technical one. It's not even a business one. It's actually a cultural one. Our relationship and the reason that we work so well is everything that we do is built upon trust with Cisco, and the trust that Cisco will stand by the commitments it makes and that we will stand by the commitments that we make. And I think that one word has underpinned the 18 years that I've been at Data3 and working with Cisco. And it goes back further than my time. But from that point of trust, when you said we're going to invest and shift towards a lifecycle practice, we said, let's do it. When we said we're going to invest and build a customer success activity and we want alignment with your global teams and we want to jointly develop ideas that we can execute in market, Cisco turned around to us and said, we trust you, we want to work with you, and we'll find a way to actually build this together. So it's not a technology one. The technology is solid, and it's not a commercial one, even though the commercials are great. It is absolutely one built around cultural alignment, trust, and mutual respect.
I definitely value the partnership that we've had. I think it's opened a lot of other doors for us, whether it be, different customers, different type of industries, the way we sell hardware and software and services. It's really opened up and ultimately provided a better relationship between customers and Data3 and Cisco, which is great. Doing this role for a little bit now, the term customer success gets thrown around very loosely. There's different definitions. I'm really keen to understand what it means to you, and also there's still a lot of partners that I talk to that very much see vendor customer success as competition. What would you say to those partners that are interested in going down the path of customer success?
So I'm going to pull it back to your first question to me, is what does customer success mean to me? And I think it doesn't matter, because I think the only people that customer success means something to and really should mean something to are the customers. Different customers have different definitions of what is success for them, and different stakeholders inside a customer will have different definitions. And I remember saying to one of your executives, customers aren't ready for adoption services. And he smacked me down and basically said, no, I was wrong. I was just talking to the wrong person. And he was right. The reality is customers want results. They want business value. They want a return on the technology investments that they make. And sometimes you're not talking to the right person. So my view of customer success is, if you're not getting traction with a customer around customer success, it's one of two things. You're not using the right language, or you're simply talking to the wrong person who has a technical outcome in mind as opposed to a business outcome. And you do need to have both. In our projects, we ensure that there is a technology success plan or a customer success plan depending upon the complexity. And we clearly map the technology adoption metrics as well as the business adoption metrics and how the alignment between both actually gives the customer an outcome.
I really enjoyed watching the journey and personally getting to know you and how you've built this customer success business within Data3, you and your team. And I can't thank you enough for the partnership. Data3 does an amazing job. And I think how you've gone above and beyond. And there's a huge reflection of you being with us both last week at Partner Summit, this week at Cisco Live, and all the achievements that Data3 has received. So Graham, we obviously value the partnership and very thankful for everything that Data does.
No, I really appreciate that. And I think that my closing comment would be, from a Data3 perspective, we are absolutely honored to be recognized as a global partner for both services and software and collaboration. But that's on the global stage. And we wouldn't have been able to rise to that level and set a global benchmark in those two areas if it wasn't for the support that Cisco ANZ actually provide us. The awards are not a Data3 Success Award. It's a Data3 and Cisco ANZ award. Together, we've actually delivered an incredible outcome and set a new benchmark for customers and for partners that I look forward to surpassing next year.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a journey right from the beginning to the end. It involves a lot of people to make it work. So again, thanks for being here, Graham. And again, thank you so much for the partnership. It's an amazing partnership.
Thanks, Luke.
All right, thanks, Graham.